All right. So our next Small Bizfluence event, we have Amazon with us. Claire O'Donnell is a director at Amazon, where she currently leads Amazon's selling partner communities and small business empowerment organizations. She is a seasoned product, business, and technology leader. And Claire is joined by Brent Leary, who's the co-founder and partner of CRM Essentials LLC. And we'll find out what they have to share with the latest from Amazon.
Thanks, Gail. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks for everybody joining us for this conversation. And thanks to Claire O'Donnell for joining me as well. Claire, let's talk a little bit about just give us your real background at Amazon, because you've been there for a little bit and you've done a couple of different things while you've been there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, thanks for having me. And yes, so I have been at Amazon for 11 years now. And, started off in kind of our retail category business. And then I've kind of worked on a number of sort of startup initiatives under our overall retail consumer umbrella. And then for about the last 5 years, I've been working directly with sellers to help them be more successful on Amazon. And so I used to run an organization that provided account management services to sellers to help them grow their business on Amazon. And then I'm currently leading our communities and small business empowerment organizations, where literally our team wakes up every morning and thinks about how we can make Amazon better for selling partners, help them connect with us and with each other, and help small businesses succeed. So that's a fun job we have.
That's awesome. Working with, leading that small business empowerment area. What does small business empowerment mean to Amazon and you personally?
Yeah, I think, there's a couple of different pieces to it. So first off, I think it's making sure that small businesses have the tools to be successful on Amazon and are successful on Amazon. Over 50% of our sales are driven by our sellers, which are mostly small and medium-sized businesses. And so our success is their success. We want to help them be successful. And then I think there's also a piece around, I don't know that the typical Amazon customer always thinks, hey, when I'm shopping on Amazon, I'm shopping from small businesses. And so there's something around increasingly customers want to shop small, they want to shop local. And so how do we help connect customers through their selling journey with those kind of shopping desires and preferences? And so that's something that we think about as well. And so, for example, we just launched our small business holiday gift guide. It's on Amazon.com, support small, and it highlights a bunch of different gifts and ideas from small businesses that you can buy on Amazon.
This is the second conversation I had this week where a vendor said, it seems like, and they had some stats, that people are looking to do more business with local/smaller companies since the pandemic started. Why do you think that is? I think that's a great thing, but why do you think that is? And how can more small businesses connect with these folks that are saying, hey, we want to buy from small businesses?
Yeah, I mean, I think the pandemic was just devastating in a lot of ways for a lot of small businesses, particularly those who were primarily physical. And what we saw on Amazon was Amazon ended up being a bit of a lifeline for some of these small businesses to connect with a much wider reach of customers than they would have ever been able to with their physical locations. But in the pandemic, when everyone was sitting at home, shopping online became really important. And so there's a whole bunch of sellers who really found that lifeline during the pandemic. I think a great example was Blue Zone Sports. They actually shut down a bunch of their physical stores, started selling on Amazon, and now they have more employees and more physical stores than ever. And so, when small businesses sell on Amazon, they get to unlock this huge customer reach and all these tools and services that are designed to help them be successful. And that's really powerful and can be a great augmentation to your current business. Now we're starting to get back to more physical and in-person interaction.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I've been hearing is, when the pandemic hit and more transactions went digital because there weren't as many people being able to walk into a store, it also opened up the possibility for smaller businesses to sell to a much greater audience because they had to sell to folks that were not coming in the stores. I mean, you could talk about how smaller business, maybe the folks that are starting, even starting to sell, what are some of the things that they, kind of need to be aware of, and how could they get started, even using a platform like Amazon?
Yeah, we get that question a lot. And actually, last year we had 200,000 new sellers start selling on Amazon. And so there's a lot of opportunity there. And we would love you to become one of them. And so we have a couple of tools and resources. We have our Amazon Small Business Academy. And that's really focused on those small businesses who are maybe interested in e-commerce, but don't know quite how to get started. And so the Amazon Small Business Academy has a bunch of tools and resources to help with that. We actually have a structured educational program called Pathways that you can go through as well. And then once you reach the point where you're like, okay, I'm ready to sign up and sell on Amazon, we have a lot of educational materials to get you started. We have something called Seller University, which has a whole bunch of educational material, and then tools and services that will really help you ramp up quickly and get that reach to, the couple of 100 million customers that are shopping on Amazon. Things like A+ content, sponsored brands like our brand stores. All of these things as a design to help you optimize your brand and help reach customers.
So when you think about kind of all that's facing not just the new sellers, but the folks that have been around, you got these headwinds with like supply chain and some other things that they have to think about. What kind of advice, what kind of guidance can you give folks as they start to charter this holiday season? And everybody wants to make it as great as it can, and we've been hearing a lot about the potential problems. How should some of the small business sellers, how should they look to handle them? And also, how do they communicate? What are the kind of ways they can communicate with their customers saying, hey, we know there are going to be some challenging times ahead here, but we're going to try to do as much as we can to help you through this?
Yeah, I think it is going to be a challenging holiday season. No two ways about it. And I think we're all figuring it out as we go. We don't know exactly what the world is going to look like. I think a couple of things that I would be thinking about and that we're thinking about for small businesses is trying to pull forward customer shopping. And so I'm starting to see a lot of brands run promotions now and encourage customers to get that holiday shopping in early. And I think that's good for the business because you can stage your sales potentially so they're less peaky than you might normally see during that holiday season. It's good for customers too, right? Who doesn't want to be done with their holiday shopping earlier, especially if they're getting great deals.
Right.
And then I think the other thing is just pay a lot of attention to your supply chain. I think that's where we're all looking. That's where we're all concerned. We're looking at it closely at Amazon as well. And make sure that you're paying attention to that. But it is a little bit of an unknown. And I know everyone's kind of working around the clock. RFC workers are working around the clock to make sure that we're receiving inventory and getting packages out to customers. And I know folks at the ports and so on are as well.
Yeah. In addition to that, one of the things that seems to come up a lot, and it's great that there's been 200,000 or so new sellers added, which is great. But how do you stand out? What are some of the ways that sellers can start to kind of stand apart, set themselves apart to be able to take advantage of that? How many millions of customers are buying? It would be great to maybe talk a little bit about how you not only get on the platform, but you can start to kind of stand a little away from everybody else?
Yeah, great question. I think it starts with having like a really compelling product and a really strong brand. And I think customers are increasingly looking to do more values-based shopping, and they really want to connect with brands on a more personal level than perhaps they felt in the past. And so really being intentional about your products and your branding and kind of having that mission that ties all the way through the shopping experience. And then making sure that story comes out to customers. What we see is a lot of customers will do research on Amazon as well as making their purchase there. And so making sure you have really rich content on the product detail pages, making sure you're building out your brand store pages, signing up for Fulfillment by Amazon can also increase your sales. I think we see about 20 to 25% increase on sales when things are in Fulfillment by Amazon and get that Prime badging. And so those are some of the things that I think that you can look at to make sure you're telling your story to customers and that they're also able to kind of get products quickly the way they want them.
You touched on Fulfillment by Amazon. There are certain pieces to the selling puzzle that don't initially stand out. I mean, you think about, marketing the product and selling the product. But sometimes we kind of don't think about all that goes into, once they click on the buy button, how does it get to them? So that whole Fulfillment by Amazon piece is incredibly important. What are the other kind of things that are kind of behind the scenes? Maybe customer service is one of those as well.
Yeah, well, I think Amazon has great customer service. You've probably experienced as a customer. We also have a ton of employees who are dedicated to sellers and their success. So I'm just one of over 24,000 employees who are focused on how do we make sellers' experience better every day. And then we invest a ton every year. I think last year we invested 18 billion in kind of logistics, tools, services, programs, and people to help sellers and small businesses be successful. And so, we've talked about a number of those different tools. We also have a few specific investments. So we just launched our Black Business Accelerator in June of this year, which is designed to help Black-owned businesses be more successful on Amazon and is backed by $150 million commitment over the next 4 years. And we're really excited about that because, again, I think it's great for sellers, for small businesses. It's also great for our customers who are also interested, as we've talked a little bit about in this presentation, like shopping their values.
Absolutely. And you guys also, I mean, it's a short amount of time to try to get to a lot of information, but you also recently released your 2021 Small Business Empowerment Report. I'm going to ask you to touch some of the highlights, but I saw some numbers that stood out to me. More than 500,000 sellers in the U.S. American seller export, and this is really something, to more than $2.2 billion in sales, up from 1.5 billion over the last year. Nearly 4,000 American sellers surpassed $1 million in sales. So there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of selling going on already. But what were some of the other keys or things that you think people should know coming out of that report?
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely touched on some of the highlights. I think also when we think about these American sellers, they're really spread out all over the US. And there's, a great story here around like small kind of rural based sellers who are able to unlock access to this huge set of customers, hundreds of millions of customers. And Palouse Brands, I think, is just a great example of that, where they shifted to selling online also during the pandemic, and they hired about 50 new employees in their new small rural town. And I think that's a super exciting story that we touch on in the report. I think something else that we haven't touched on that kind of came out on the report is, small businesses had their most successful Prime Day ever this year. And hopefully you're all familiar with Prime Day, but it's sort of our big shopping event for customers. We saw small businesses sales almost double year on year. And we ran a small business promotion this year, invested about $100 million in kind of helping connect customers with small businesses and drive those small businesses sales. So that was really exciting for us.
And you also just came off of the Accelerate. I think it was the second annual Amazon Accelerate conference geared towards sellers. What were some of the things that people should know about coming out of that as well?
Yeah, so thousands of sellers actually attended Accelerate online, and you can actually watch all of the content from Accelerate. It's now up online, and so there's lots of great things to kind of help you learn more about Amazon and some of the tools and services we have in place, if anything has piqued your interest from today. We also announced some new product launches, some really exciting ones. So I encourage you to go check some of those out. Buy online, pick up in store. That was kind of an exciting one that I know resonated with a lot of our sellers.
Yeah. That one I found really interesting. I found the customer service, you can use Amazon to be your customer support arm if you do a little monthly fee. I thought that was good. The selling local, that whole aspect, and I think we already touched on that. I think is really important today. It's particularly when it comes to all the supply chain issues. People want to buy stuff locally because they have a better chance of getting it. So how do you leverage your online presence to drive folks offline to actually get their stuff? I think is going to be incredibly important. And there's so many interesting things. The product opportunity explorer, I think that's interesting too. I thought a lot. I got a lot out of that conference. Actually, one of the interesting stories I got was I think it was the kid. They were college kids that started this business to make it have comfortable chairs to sit in, and we all need comfortable chairs because I've been sitting in this one for like the last year and a half straight. But they started this business to make a more comfortable chair, and they basically started selling it directly on Amazon.com. And within 6 years, I think they said they went from like being a business that came out of their dorm room to like an 8-figure business, and it was basically all on the back of Amazon, which I thought was incredible. And then the peanut brittle dude, the guy that had peanut brittle stores, I can't remember the name, but he was selling in stores when the pandemic hit, had to completely figure out a new way to get his brittle to people. So that's when he turned heavily to Amazon. He got all this education, and now he's saying he's selling more peanut brittle than ever before. Are those typical stories we're hearing, particularly when it comes to what's taken place over the last 18 months, where companies had to figure out a new channel, and Amazon became a new channel that actually ended up being a channel that they'll probably become dependent on for all their selling business opportunities?
I think that's exactly right. I think we have different versions of that kind of story playing out all over Amazon, and we want to create more success stories like that. Amazon's success is the success of our partners who are small businesses and sellers, and we want to help you succeed.
All right. So am I missing anything? We only got a couple of minutes. Am I missing something that you think I should ask you, because you get a chance to talk to a lot of sellers? What are some of the things that are top of mind for them right now?
I think we touched on a lot of the things that are really top of mind, like how we continue to navigate through this pandemic environment, particularly as we head into holiday. Some of the ways that I think you can be successful selling online and on Amazon. And, I think I would probably just say, we love working with small businesses. We love working with sellers. They've had a great year on Amazon, and we want to help continue making them successful. Our success is their success.
And it doesn't matter how smart you are, right? You could, if you're just a one-person shop, you can jump on and take advantage of things that these bigger brands are doing.
That's exactly right. I mean, you know, all of the tools and services and capabilities that we've talked about today, your expertise is going to be your brand and your products. And we can help bring some of that e-commerce expertise and some of those capabilities that maybe you don't have time to do because you are a one-person show, but you still want to unlock the power of all those capabilities. That's exactly why we've designed some of these things to help you succeed.
Well, this has been a great conversation. I think we're about at the time. Do we have time to do any questions?
Right. Well, we have a minute or two, and you do have a couple questions if you think you can tackle them. They're a little bit complicated.
Okay, I will be okay. Well, I think we kind of just talked about the getting started for an absolute e-commerce beginner. I think we kind of tackled that.
We covered that.
Let's see.
Look at the
Okay,
other.
let me see. Do you have ideas on how to utilize your author page on Amazon? How you worked with Amazon merch store with t-shirts? Claire, is that something that's kind of down in the deep in the weeds a little bit? Is that something you want to talk to, or maybe something we need to do a follow-up for?
You know, I'm not the expert on that. I wouldn't want to lead you astray. So maybe let us figure out what your contact information is, and we can get you connected with the right folks at Amazon to help with that one.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, thanks, Gail. And maybe that can be the case also with that other question.
Joel's
'cause
question is
that's-
complex too. I can
Yeah.
make that happen. Connect you with the right person.
Well,
All right.
Claire, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That 20 minutes went way too fast. I love talking to another Southerner that has that nice Southern accent that we have down in Atlanta. So thanks again, and
You picked up on it. It's so subtle that.
we love it. Thanks
Thank
again.
you
Really appreciate
so
your
much
time.
for being here today.
Thank
Thanks,
you. I
Gail.
really enjoyed it. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.